As the wins continue to stack up for San Francisco as they move to 4-1, one thing that's become obvious for everyone that's watching this team is that very soon John Lynch will be looking to trade for a defensive end. Without Bosa, San Francisco's defensive line has struggled to create pressure. Over the last 2 weeks, for example, San Francisco's defensive line only has recorded 1 sack, and honestly, when you turn on the film, they look like a completely different unit than they did for the first 3 games of the season. It's not that the 49ers have been bad, especially considering they've had to rely on a lot of rookies, but it seems like they need one player to really make the difference for them. Luckily for the 49ers though, John Lynch, their general manager, appears to be ready to make that trade, with him recently saying the following to Matt Maiocco before the Rams game. "Do you earn the right to motivate people to go acquire people? So that means we gotta keep playing good football so that, hey, this could be the guy who makes a difference." And reading the tea leaves, with San Francisco second in their conference right now, all that's left for John Lynch to do is go ahead and acquire the player that's going to make a difference. And while some people will say it's a safety, a wide receiver, the fact is, the glaring need on this team is a defensive end, and San Francisco will be looking to acquire one, especially if they continue to rack up wins. So in this video, we're going to go over defensive ends across the NFL that Lynch will probably be looking to trade for, what it will cost him, and finally conclude what's the most likely trade scenario headed forward. There's a couple of different ways San Francisco could go about this trade. They could make multiple trades trying to replace Bosa, or they could go all out and say, I want the closest thing to Bosa on the market. And in that case, they may be able to trade for Trey Hendrickson. Already this year, the 30-year-old pass rusher has 4 sacks, and over the last couple of years, he's been one of the most consistent defensive linemen across the National Football League, and he's consistently been available, which is a crucial thing for San Francisco headed forward. And I know some people might be thinking he's washed, he's 30, but last year he had 17.5 sacks, and the year before that, he also had 17.5 sacks, so he definitely doesn't look washed when you turn on the film. On top of that, he's a perfect fit for Robert Saleh's wide 9 defensive front, as he has an elite first step, great hands, and also has shown the ability to set the edge as a run defender. This means Chris Kasarik and Robert Saleh could utilize him in a similar way as Nick Bosa and keep him out there every single down for San Francisco's defense, meaning a player like Bryce Huff could go back to his more natural role as a pass rush specialist, and that alone would unlock San Francisco's defensive line in a similar way we saw early on in the season. When Huff is fresh, he's able to routinely find his way into the backfield. Still though, Trey Hendrickson is going to be pretty expensive for San Francisco, with some people even suggesting they may need to give up a first-round pick for just a 1-year rental, and at that point, they would probably want to extend him. And what do you do with Bosa? Do you cut him? Do you trade him? What are you looking to do with him? On top of that, you're giving away a first-round pick, and in the last 2 drafts, you found starters in Michael Williams and Ricky Pearsall. And I know the idea right now being floated out there is Mac Jones for Trey Hendrickson, but the first issue with the idea is Brock Purdy still hasn't really came back and looked like the same quarterback pre- and post-toe injury, and on top of that, the Bengals recently traded for Joe Flacco. So if John Lynch wants to get a deal done with the Bengals, it does seem like that the 49ers will at least have to give up a 2nd-round pick, maybe even a 1st-round pick according to some people, to even land him, which to me seems highly unlikely. With that being said, he's not the only defensive end San Francisco could end up making a trade for, and the player that I honestly would like to see them potentially pull the trigger on is Miami's Jaelan Phillips. The former 2021 first-round pick for the Dolphins has 23 sacks in his young NFL career, and while he has dealt with injuries over the last 2 years, it does appear like he's finally healthy. And unlike a player like Hendrickson, he's much more in the 49ers price range, as he's probably available for a later round pick, potentially a 6th or 7th, especially when you consider the Dolphins right now are 1-4 and Phillips is on the last year of his rookie contract. So the worst case in this scenario is San Francisco gives up a 5th or 6th round pick, he comes in, doesn't do much, and then he leaves the team next year. But the best case, San Francisco is able to unlock the 26-year-old's full potential and maybe see him get 8 sacks this year in a similar way he got his rookie season, and he's also helping the running game. And overall, when you're looking at him as an athlete, like Hendrickson, he has an extremely violent first step and also offers versatility in the running game. And while not the same player as Hendrickson, as he doesn't offer that same level of consistency, if San Francisco is able to unlock him, this is really a low risk, high reward type of move. And maybe even headed forward, They may give him a contract, keep him around, and he could end up really unlocking his full potential here. And that truly is first round potential. He's 6'5", weighing 260 pounds, ran his 40-yard dash in 4.57 seconds, his 10-yard split in 1.59 seconds, and put up the bench press 21 times. And as a rookie, he was pretty impressive. He had 8.5 sacks, 42 tackles, a pass defended, and was also named to the all-rookie team. And the following year, he continued to show off a similar level of dominance. He played in 17 games, had 61 tackles, 7 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, as well as 2 passes defended. All of this is to say he was really living up to his first round billing before suffering 2 season injuries in 2023 and 2024. In 2023, he had a torn Achilles, and last year he dealt with a knee injury. This year though, he's been healthy, playing in all 5 games, and even recently recorded a sack against the Panthers. So if you're going to take a gamble on a young player, why not be a former first round pick you can get for, let's say, a 5th or 6th round pick in Jaelan Phillips? Still though, nothing is guaranteed with this move, so San Francisco may decide to go ahead and acquire a player they're familiar with, an Arden Key who had a career year with them and had 6.5 sacks during the 2021 season. And like a player like Phillips, this shouldn't be too expensive for San Francisco, potentially costing a late round pick, anywhere from a 5th to 7th round pick based on the trade market at that point. In return though, San Francisco would get a pretty versatile defensive lineman that can play both outside and inside, potentially serving as the outside defensive end on the first 2 downs, and then moving over to an interior pass rusher on NASCAR packages. Maybe more importantly for San Francisco headed forward though, he should be available for the remainder of the season. When you look at him for the last 4 years for instance, he's played in at least 16 games each one of those years. To me, this seems like the most likely thing John Lynch will be trying to do. He's going to be trying to get a veteran that's going to be available for the remainder of the season, and it's probably just going to be a 1-year rental. This doesn't roll out San Francisco also making a trade for a high potential player like Jaelan Phillips. I just think it's a little less likely than them looking for a veteran that's available, but not as expensive as a player like Hendrickson. I mean, if he is costing a first round pick, that's going to hamper San Francisco for the foreseeable future. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on the potential trade for San Francisco. I think most likely they're going to be looking for a veteran, followed by a younger player that maybe hasn't lived up to their high round billing yet, and then maybe if they're able to work out a deal with the Bengals to get a player like Hendrickson. I just don't see them working out a deal that's feasible for both teams though. Now though, I want to hear your thoughts about a potential trade. Do you think John Lynch will be willing to trade a first round pick for a player like Hendrickson? And who would you like to see San Francisco go acquire? A younger player, a veteran, or a star player like Hendrickson? It would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video. If you could go ahead and like and subscribe, it truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.